Welcome to S&P's Why Not Us, the podcast that will confidently look you in the eye and claim full responsibility for the Knicks' 11-game winning streak. I'm your co-host, Scott Greenhut, and on the other side of the mic, my good friend, Peter Olczyk.
Hello, it's great to be back at it. Happy start of summer. Well, unofficially, I guess that is. And that got me thinking a little bit with summer. I thought maybe we would sort of compare notes on rules, if you will. Memorial Day, Labor Day, fashion, grilling, the calendar. Tell me where are you at on some of this stuff? Let's see how aligned we are.
Okay, I scratched down 3 rules of thumb I like to use during the summer season. Rule number 1, outdoor plans always take priority. If the weather's good and someone invites you outside, you go. You cancel the indoor thing. This is non-negotiable from Memorial Day to Labor Day.
That's fair. That's fair.
Right? Enjoy it. Enjoy it while you can. You want to hit me with one, or I got number 2? Go ahead.
All right, let's do fashion. So this whole wearing white business I took a look at. Now, I think we all know that I have never exactly been a fashionista.
No,
yeah, that's true. Also not a foodie. But yeah, so I'm very happy that basically the norms over the last bunch of years have gotten much more casual. So sure, I'll wear white if I happen to have white shorts. I do actually own a pair now.
Yeah.
Early May, mid-May. Happy to do it mid-September as well if the weather's nice, all that good stuff. That's
rebel with the cause.
Yeah, that's my fashion stuff.
Okay. If you're invited to a party with the pool, be that guy. You got to go in. Once you go in, everyone else goes in. It's just more fun.
Well, I think we know that I am typically the first person in the pool, and I don't usually ask, to do it. So
that's
yeah.
a good job by you.
Again,
that's in the continue category. Keep it up.
I'm pretty casual on that front. How about grilling? So you are certainly the grill master here. I'm more of the grilling assistant guy. But 2-hour rule. I saw this one. I like it. If it be under 2 hours if perishable food has been outside to make sure that things are sort of safe and healthy. And my question to you is, as a grill guy, do you use the food thermometer? Is that a thing?
I absolutely use the food thermometer. I picked that up a couple of years ago. No looking back. Now, what I haven't invested in is the Bluetooth version where you can actually see on your phone. You don't even have to be standing at the grill. You can get a read that way. So I'm more old-fashioned. I like to stick it in, see what the gauge has to say, but I'm almost always with the food thermometer.
I like it. All right, one last one. So calendar. Unofficial start to the summer, Memorial Day? Yes. Unofficial end to the summer, Labor Day? Yes. And why is that for me? Well, Labor Day also kind of reminds me of football. Football means the fall. So there you go. That's kind of my unofficial summer calendar.
That works. Yeah. I like it.
All right, excellent. Let's move out of the rules and into some of the sports stuff. In today's episode, we'll drop in on the steamy and surprising first week of the French Open. Also get back on our high horse, this time to make the case of retiring the number of a beloved former New York Knick. But we are absolutely obliged to begin with the NBA's nearly set finals. So, much like when we did this last time, there's a Game 7 in about 4 hours or so. Tonight's Game 7, OKC and the Spurs. Why don't you kick us off on kind of how you've seen this series go down so far?
Yeah, long, which not surprising. I thought that might happen. I think I said 6, but 7 works as well. You got Wemby, you got SGA. Story of the series. When Wemby outscores SGA, Spurs win every time. Game 7 in OKC, Thunder are 4-0 at home in Game 7s since relocating.
Okay,
so
that's a good one.
Who you got?
Well, I'll tell you what I want. We have had a 7-game series, and I think I maybe put that out there, last time we got together. But the last 4 of these 7 games have been actually pretty one-sided. So me personally, I would love to see a competitive game over the last 5 minutes. and have, both those two superstars, Wemby, SGA, and then however sort of the supporting cast kicks in as well. But I would just love a really close game, single digit kind of game over the last 4 or 5 minutes and seeing what happens.
Yeah, and one other thing. I mean, I wouldn't have minded if game one of the finals was just a little earlier than it is. You're supposed to be rewarded, right? With the rest thing. You sweep. This other series goes the full distance, and they're going to be pretty rested, whoever they is. So, just throwing that out there for the scheduling people.
Listen, we're here now. This is actually happening. I'll start with the fact that the New York Knicks, who have really been, the most dominant team, of course, in the playoffs to date, I don't think we can really argue that one. They need to fight against that this season has really been a big accomplishment. It has been a big accomplishment, no matter what happens over the next 7 to 10 days. But I think the thing going in our Knicks' favor to try to help with that is Jalen Brunson. They have a leader and a player that absolutely knows how to kind of keep the pulse of this team. We saw it in the timeouts, kind of in the end of the last series. So I'm hoping that helps. But that's where I'll start on the Knicks. Where do you want to jump in?
Yeah, I'll jump in with Cat. Cat in the playoffs has turned into a full-blown point center.
Yeah.
And you talked about Magic Johnson the other day. I mean, he's no Magic, right? But he is wearing number 32. And when he dishes 5 or more, so 5 or more assists, the Knicks are 9-0. So there's a stat for you. And he's shooting with confidence inside and outside. Inside, boy, what a determined look he has on his face when he goes to the hole. But also outside, the whole thing.
Yeah, I think when we started teeing up Cat, at the beginning of the playoffs, actually, I threw out the words controlled aggression, right? So that's either going to the basket, that's also shooting with confidence, kind of right at the top of the key. He's probably been at least 50% on those shots over the last few games. So couldn't agree with you more. And then this whole thing about the team itself. The Knicks are 10 deep, so
yes.
However the dominoes kind of play out. And now we have a potential question mark. Mitchell Robinson has a broken right pinky. Uncertain as to exactly how that's going to...
He'll be fine.
Okay, folks, you have it here. He's going to be completely fine.
The only thing that could possibly suffer are his free throws. Oh, wait.
Yeah, well, okay. I think, what are we at? I think 32% or so for the playoffs so far. I will just say that if for whatever reason that Mitchell Robinson is not able to kind of log those minutes, we're 10 deep, we might go 11 deep. Don't be surprised if Ariel Hukparty gets some of the big minutes, because we actually do need to go big, kind of either who we play in this series. So
right,
we shall see.
And we need OG's health to keep the way it's been looking. He came back strong after sitting out a few games, having the run of a lifetime. Let's move on. Because it's almost a little too good, and Bridges too. Everyone's playing well, and Josh Hart is the spark. So we got, like you said, we run deep. We're going to need it against a more talented starting group that will be playing, regardless of who it is.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to need the bench. We're going to need everything. And I'm looking forward to the series.
Yeah, and last thing I'll just say, of course, matchup, I don't care either way. However, it would be kind of electric to have, kind of Wemby in the Garden and just have those teams match up. That would be just great television. It would be great for the fans in both arenas, but let's see how it all shakes out.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, let's move into some of the tennis. So French Open, week 1. Where do you want to start with what's been actually a very sultry first 6 or 7 days out in Paris?
Yeah. Let's start with the fact that we're going to have a Grand Slam winner who's not named Alcaraz or Sinner.
There you go.
So 9 in a row for those guys. If you wanted to go back to the last time one of them didn't win, it was Djokovic. Guess what? He's out too. Unbelievably dropping. a match after being up 2-0, but at some point, listen, the guy is a human being, I think, last I checked. So, field's kind of quite open right now. Who do you like?
I have to say, in looking at the last few days, how exciting is it on the men's side of things with these teenagers? So we got Rafael Jordar, hopefully I'm making these pronunciations correctly, 19 years old from Spain. He was actually seeded 27, so he's been up and coming. Moise Kouame, so he's the 17-year-old sensation from France, and basically the whole crowd, it looked like it was actually a U.S. Open match with all of the screaming and him playing to the crowd and, some sort of tension with the judge and things, but, definitely a promising player, and we'll see what happens in the next round. And then what you talked about, Joao Fonseca, I think I got that right, 19 from Brazil, had a lot of game, coming back from 2 sets to, arguably the GOAT in the game is incredible.
Yeah.
So let's see how this shakes out and whether any of these guys actually play each other. That would be pretty cool.
And, prepping quickly for this session, one thing occurred to me was in the history of the Grand Slam era, there have only been 2 black men who have ever won a Grand Slam title. Arthur Ashe won 3, and Yannick Noah won the French, which was the only one that Arthur Ashe didn't win.
Yep.
So in the field right now, you have Kouambe, you have Tiafo from, and he won, I hope, as we're recording. I know he's going today. As of my notes, he was still going. And then you have Felix Auger Aliassime.
Oh.
So you have milestone potentially in the making there.
Yeah, no, the French Open already has been playing to just kind of some wow tennis in really tough conditions. And on the women's side, I mentioned Iga last time, so still going strong. Coco goes out today, so we don't have that. However, in the next round, very excited to see Naomi Osaka continuing her comeback tour against the always, and still #1 Sabalenka. So that is definitely must-see viewing.
Indeed. Okay, so now we are moving to our lightning rounds. We have a few topics, and first up, I think you're going to go a little medical on us.
Yeah. I want to talk about the Nanoneedle scope. So this is actually something that originally debuted in 2019. We're now on the 2.0 scope. This is looking like a game changer across sort of sports medicine, and we'll talk about baseball in a second, but a little bit on the technology. So in terms of the old arthroscope, traditionally, that was a fiber optic tube with a light and a camera lens, a diameter that's kind of like 4 millimeters, or think like a pencil.
Yeah.
The Nanoneedle, the 2.0, about 1.9 millimeters, so that's less than half, with a tiny camera lens and much better resolution than the one from 5 or 6 years ago. So think just kind of a long needle. And what this does is it makes a much smaller incision, like an IV poke, glides to a location or locations if you're trying to get out kind of a bone chip from the elbow. It pumps less fluid, which leads to lower bleeding, lower scarring, less inflammation, and less swelling. So you put that all together, and now you fast forward to the last few weeks, and we have, who was arguably going into this season, the best pitcher in the game, Tarik Skubal, which was announced that he actually had to get elbow surgery. Tarik Skubal went through the Nanoneedle 2.0. Let's look at some of the dates here. May 6th was the procedure to remove a loose body. It was like a lima bean-sized bone chip from the elbow. 12 days after the surgery, he played catch and warmed up for a bullpen. 3 days later, he fired 35 pitches in another bullpen session. Now we're up to May 26th, earlier in the week, 2 2/3 simulated innings at Detroit's Comerica Park mound. And this is where we're at. So he's on the doorstep of kind of coming back to the rotation, but also following all of the checkpoints. This is truly game-changing stuff. Of course, this doesn't address the overall pitching epidemic in the game and injuries due to max effort. That's a separate topic.
And is it, I know you're not a doctor, nor do you play one on TV. Is this exclusively for elbow issues? Or?
Now it can be in the knee. It's been doing meniscus stuff. One of the
okay.
hockey goalies went through it a few months ago.
Okay.
So,
So
yes.
this is, wow. I feel like the Mets rotation from a few years ago could have, maybe we were World Series champs. I don't know.
Yeah, it's so stay tuned on this stuff, especially with Scuba over the next couple of weeks, but it's really interesting. So speaking of the hockey, we do actually have two teams now for the NHL finals. How do you look at what's been going on over the last week or so?
Yeah, the Stanley Cup final is set. We're going to have Carolina against the Vegas Golden Knights. Game 1 on Tuesday. The winner will take home the team's second Stanley Cups. Carolina has been the favorite kind of all along. They swept Ottawa, swept Philly, took out Montreal 4-1 in the East Final. Have a excellent first line of Stankoven, Hall, and Ehlers, and a goalie in Freddie Anderson, who's been playing great and is mourning the loss of his agent and good friend Claude Lemieux, who tragically took his own life a few days ago. Yeah. One of the fantastic hockey players from a generation ago. So that's going on in Carolina, and then the other main thing to look at with the Hurricanes is Rod Brind'Amour. My God, I grew up watching this guy on the Flyers against the Rangers. His arc's been incredible. At some point, he left the Flyers. He moved over to Carolina, won them their cup, their one and only cup in 2006, and he never left. He's been there in the family into development as an assistant. He became head coach in 2018. He's taken them to 3 conference finals, all with losses, but now it's his first chance to take home the cup. It's quite a story.
Yeah, 15 seasons behind the bench, starting as an assistant. I am absolutely rooting for that squad.
Yeah, for sure. And so, and then just real fast on Vegas, that impressively swept Colorado, who was the number 1 seed in the West, although dealing with a few injuries. They have Mitch Marner, who escaped from the downtrodden Maple Leafs, and Jack Eichel, who has already won Olympic gold this past season with Team USA. And fun fact, he's already the one of only 2 players in history to win Hobey Baker Olympic gold and the Stanley Cup. So, but now he's going for his second cup. I think it's going to be a very close series. Carolina is technically favored, but I think this should be maybe the best series so far in the NHL playoffs.
Maybe where the experience takes over, with Vegas kind of having been there a lot, been there, done that a little bit. Carolina, new territory.
They kind of have, though. They each kind of have. I mean, Carolina with the conference finals. Yeah, I mean, they've each at least been pretty close. So,
okay.
So we'll see. I mean, Vegas is unbelievable. They're still, to me, an expansion team, and they're on the cusp of winning their second cup.
Absolutely.
And Carolina, the Hartford fans are still moaning that loss.
The Whale?
They were the Whalers, yeah.
The Whale. All right. As I mentioned at the top, we are going to get back on our high horse this week. It's been a while. This is going to be a combo high horse. I guess we're sort of riding double, if you will, this time.
Are.
So, number 30, Bernard King. We want to make the case to put number 30 into the MSG rafters. Why don't you start us off?
Yeah, easy case in my book. Bernard King, greatest scorer I've ever seen in a Knicks uniform. He would get the ball down in the block, turn, shoot. Couldn't stop it. Always got the shot off, and it basically went in. Back-to-back 50-point games in the regular season, dropped 60 on the Nets on Christmas Day. That was
a wonderful day.
Yeah, and he also was the main character in 2 fantastic playoff series. In '84, averaging 40 points a game in a 5-game series, a best of 5 against the Pistons.
Yeah.
And then right after that, falling to the Celtics in 7. Bernard scored 40 in 2 of the MSG games. He's going against a Celtic team that had 3 future Hall of Famers, an absolute juggernaut, and took us to the cusp. So I'm gonna pause there. I have a little more to say on
Oh boy.
Bernard, but
All right.
I wanted to get your thoughts as well.
Let me add a little color. So first of all, Bernard King's in the Basketball Hall of Fame. Let's just internalize that for a second.
Right.
As a Knick, he's a two-time first team All NBA, 83-84 season, the 84-85 season. Then he had the devastating knee injury in March of 85.
Can still see it.
Now that's the same knee that he had cartilage removed 10 years earlier when he was at Tennessee, which sort of speaks to the fact that it was going to be really hard to bounce back from that. If that doesn't happen, we're kind of looking at, a 5 to 6 year easy run, as a Knick. Let's look at the franchise overall for a second. The New York Knicks franchise is one of the only three 1946 charter BBA members, so that's the Basketball Association of America, with the Celtics and then with the Warriors. They were from Philadelphia at that point, still in continuous operation. Yet, there are 10 teams that have more retired numbers than the New York Knicks. That seems like a little bit of a disconnect to me. I think it's absolutely time to celebrate the bridge to Patrick Ewing. When I think of Bernard King, I used to have the Sony Dream Machine, to wake up in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
And the song Automatic was the song that woke me up probably for 2 years straight.
Yep.
And that is what I smile and think about in terms of Bernard.
That's a good one.
And I just wish and hope, and you can add a little bit more,
Yeah.
that there's a way in. Because I think that if we were able to kind of look past the number of years and not getting to at least a conference finals, the impact is there, and it really.
The
Go ahead.
Okay, two more things from me on
Sure.
Bernard. Look, Bill Simmons, you either love him, you might hate him, but one thing's for sure, that guy knows basketball. I mean,
Yeah.
that is just given, right? He's written the book of basketball. It's like 2,000 pages. Long story short, he's more of a Boston fan than a Knick fan. He has Bernard King 58 out of 96 people in what he calls the book of basketball pyramid. People that by definition he goes in front of by being 58. Robert Parrish, Tiny Archibald, Reggie Miller, Ray Allen, Dennis Rodman, Chris Webber, Joe Dumars, Cindy Moncrief, and Chris Mullen. So that's from the guy who doesn't love the Knicks. And that's that's the respect he has for Bernard. I also would like to quickly mention a personal anecdote. I went to a game once in the mid-'80s during Bernard's peak. I happened to be sitting right behind his parents during the game, and it was a hilarious game. It was a day game, so it wasn't that raucous a crowd, but you could always hear when the Knicks had the possession and they were on offense, people would be screaming, "Hey, what are you doing with the ball? Give it to Bernard!" Just constantly all game, and
Love
his
it.
parents were just smiling. And it was his mom's birthday, the whole garden saying happy birthday and all that stuff. So that was my personal Bernard
Yeah,
King.
no, I have to say, I'll just end it with the fact that I have loved seeing Bernard King take in this whole playoff run at pretty much every game.
Yeah.
And that's just wonderful. So let's see what happens. We made our case.
Yeah, we've made our case, Mr. Dolan.
All right, let's move to a little PS. So I thought this week, and it was kind of inspired by a big budget movie coming out this summer, which I'll get to in a little bit. But the question is 3 books that ignited joy of reading and left a lasting mark for you, anytime from childhood through high school, and at least one of these books that was maybe assigned from school. So with those parameters, why don't you go through your first one?
Okay. So book number 1, I've got Fahrenheit 451 from Ray Bradbury. It wasn't just the dystopia, but it was the idea that books could be so dangerous that a whole government apparatus existed just to burn them. And so when someone tells you that something is so forbidden and something seems so threatening, you want to know what's in it. I also kind of understood that reading wasn't, an act of freedom. And so it got me thinking about Soviet Union, and I went on to study that stuff in college. So very impactful book for me, Fahrenheit 451.
Love it. Great choice. I am starting with the Phantom Toll Booth.
I see
It did make
you have carried it with you.
it made an arrival today. Norton Juster. This is Milo's journey via magical toll booth portal. He got in his little used electrical car. He was soon joined by a ticking watchdog named Tak. The 2011 was the 50th anniversary of when the book came out, and there was an NPR interview where Norton Juster talked about it being an accidental an accidental masterpiece. Why? Well, he was an architect, and he also received a grant back then to do a book on cities for children. However, he completely lost his energy for the project and his passion, and he started thinking about his own childhood, which he said in his words was quiet, introverted, and moody, which kind of led him to thinking about the Phantom Toll Booth. And I just wanted to read a very, very short few sentences. So this is where Milo finds himself at a royal banquet, and the king is talking to him. "What an ordinary little boy," commented the king. "Why, my cabinet members can do all sorts of things. The Duke here can make mountains out of molehills. The minister splits hairs. The Count makes hay while the sun shines. The Earl leaves no stones unturned. And the undersecretary," he finished ominously, "hangs by a thread. Can't you do anything at all?"
That's a good one.
All right. What do you got? Number 2.
That's a good one. I got my boy Billy Shakespeare coming in hot at number 2. Henry IV, Part 1 is actually my favorite play of his. I've read it so many freaking times, but that's because I really like it. This was originally assigned, but you got Prince Hal, the heir apparent to the throne, spending his days at a tavern, getting drunk with Falstaff, a big comic slob of a man, and so everyone's like, "You're a loser, Hal." But when it matters and it's go time, boom, he turns into this, total king. He acts the part, like he'd been preparing the whole time. Yeah. And then the other piece is Falstaff, such a rich character. He gets written off by many as kind of a drunk buffoon, but he's actually super wise, super sharp. He has a great monologue on honor where he basically dismantles the whole concept. I will not read it aloud, but my favorite play, Henry IV, Part 1.
Very nice. All right, one more on the kid side of things. So this is clearly my most read book over the years. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, first as a kid, of course, probably to get over a few Jets games as well, but we'll be getting into that this summer when we take a little bit of a look back. And then, of course, as a dad, rereading the book to kind of both kids was such a pleasure.
We just saw the play this week about the author.
Yes, yes.
Giant side note. Go see it. Go ahead.
Yep. No, my wife, Amanda, saw it with some friends a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
And I'll just say that, of course, when you turn to the movie portion of things,
right. Johnny Depp and... Or the original.
The original,
yeah.
So when you go to Willy Wonka,
so Gene Wilder.
So when you go to Willy Wonka, for me, Gene Wilder is just one of those iconic actors, very much on my Rushmore shortlist of people, and of course that performance is just a wow every single time. So reading the book, seeing the movie, the whole thing, it is just ingrained in my soul.
Excellent, like that pick. My last one, Bonfire of the Vanities.
Huh.
So just really 2 simple reasons. One is it painted a really vivid picture of New York City. And I mean, it was obviously like a huge bestseller and all this stuff, but I was like, oh, I know that block. And so that was kind of cool. And then the other part about it was that it was actually published in snippets before the book came out in Rolling Stone magazine, which was my favorite magazine growing up. So I had gotten, pieces of it in Rolling Stone, and then the whole thing came out, and so I really enjoyed that book.
Love it. All right, my last one, and this, of course, would be the movie coming out this summer. Christopher Nolan is doing The Odyssey. Matt Damon is going to be starring in it. So for me, The Odyssey, Homer's epic poem. I mean, this was the book, and it's an epic poem. It was long. But
This one was your assigned book.
oh, for sure. But Odysseus, a complex, flawed hero. He's smart, but he's selfish. His survival story was one that even if it was assigned, I had to read this to the end. The journey home.
Wait. You're saying
Oh,
not Cliff Notes, but the actual book.
I got through this one joyfully. I actually still have the book at home. It says the words Peter on the pages, P-E-T-R, so I knew that it was mine. I went through in terms of actually when I was taking notes. The notes did last all the way towards the end, so that speaks to your non-Cliff Notes comments. And, it's just probably, and also just from the writer's side of things for me, the whole idea about, hero, characters, journey story, everything was just, overwhelming. And I ended up taking another mythology class freshman year of college based upon the book. I wrote a modern day Odyssey in that class. But yeah, the Odyssey.
Excellent.
All right. Well, that's it for today. Thank you for listening. Until the next time, I'm Peter Olchik.
And I'm Scott Greenhut. Make sure to follow S&P's Why Not Us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast player. And until next time, we're going to put this episode
in the books.